Story 1. Am I the asshole for wearing a white dress to my friend's wedding? I can't believe I'm using this Reddit account for another wedding-related issue. I, 20 female, met my friend Charlotte, 21, when I moved into my college dorm in August 2020. We got along well, shared ideas for how we wanted to divide space and keep things clean, organized, and had many similar interests. Within a month, we were studying and hanging out together, and I considered her a good friend. I also met her now husband Josh, 22. They seemed like a cute and loving couple, and I was very happy when they got engaged. Christmas 2020. After 3.5 years together, Charlotte has spent the last 18 months planning this wedding down to the last detail. I won't say she's obsessive, but it's been intense, and I've tried to help her as best I can with making appointments, managing stress, etc. I also gave her $250 to help pay for the wedding. Her family can only afford part of it, which isn't included in the $250 wedding gift. I'm going to give her a month before the wedding. I was still trying to decide exactly what to wear. I wanted something nice because Charlotte said she would have a photographer, videographer, and wedding painter. I knew Charlotte had a vision for her wedding, and I wanted her as in control as possible for all the details of her special day. So I asked her which dress out of the three I'd narrowed it down to that I should wear. She asked if I would actually pull out all my dresses, so I did. She ended up narrowing it down to one of my picks, along with a dress I had put firmly in the no pile for being white. It was a wedding after all. She told me both dresses were lovely, but that she prefers the white one. I asked if she was sure, and she said yes, and even picked out a pair of pink and white heels from her closet to go with my dress. I figured that was that. Fast forward to last week, I show up in the dress about half an hour before the ceremony. I get some weird looks, but no one says anything. In hindsight, this is when I should have realized something wasn't right. When Charlotte comes out of her dressing room for some last-minute pictures, she looks shocked to see me, and then she starts turning red. She pulls me aside and starts going off on me immediately about wearing the dress to her wedding. I'm stunned. I ask her what the problem is because she picked the dress out, and she told me it was a friendship test, and that if we were real friends, then I wouldn't have worn a white dress or her shoes to her wedding. I started laughing because I honestly thought it was a joke, and she screamed at me that I ruined her effing wedding, and to get the fuck out, I flat out told her she was crazy and left not wanting to fight anymore and not knowing how to deal with what happened. I grabbed my wedding gift for them on the way out. My phone has been flooded with texts, voicemails, and social media notifs from her friends and her family about what an AH I am. But I honestly don't see what I did wrong. Am I really the asshole here? Edit. Quite a few people have said YTAESH because you should know not to wear white anyway, and I just want to clarify that I brought this point up to Charlotte more than once while asking if she was sure, and she insisted that I wear the white dress. She said I would look lovely, and she wanted me to look my best for her wedding because she wanted very nice pictures and videos. I would not have worn this dress if she had not assured me multiple times that it was what she wanted. Edit 2. Someone made a comment about how if the bride is wearing white, I should at least be prepared for the weird glances. The bride didn't even wear white. That was another non-traditional thing she did. She wore blue. Story 2. Am I the asshole for not wearing no makeup to my best friend's wedding? My phone has been blowing up since this happened. So I'm sorry if this seems a little disjointed. I'm super frazzled right now, but I really need a wider opinion, since nobody involved can agree on who messed up. I, 27 female, was picked to be the maid of honor at my best friend Joe's 28th female wedding, which happened last week. I was so excited. We've been friends since we were kids and had already agreed to be each other's maid of honor way back then, but that didn't make it any less exciting. I helped Joe pick out my dress, my shoes, etc. Everything except for my makeup. I don't agree with wearing makeup because I think the beauty industry is misogynistic, and because it makes my face break out, I don't shame anyone else for wearing it, but I just don't wear it myself. Joe knows this and told me that it was totally okay to go makeup free, which I was super grateful for. I had thought that because Joe was okay with no makeup, it wouldn't be a big deal. Most of the other bridesmaids, as well as Joe, ended up going very heavy on the makeup. So I kind of stood out. I'm not self-conscious, even though I don't wear it, and the other bridesmaids didn't mind that I wasn't wearing it, so I didn't really mind. The wedding was very beautiful and went perfectly, until about halfway through the reception. Joe's groom, Henry, 35 male, pulled me to the side and told me how inappropriate it was for me to not be wearing makeup. He said that I was upstaging the bride at her wedding and that a woman shouldn't be going to a public event without makeup anyway. I felt so terrible. I really hadn't intended to take any attention away from Joe. I waited until after the wedding to text Joe and say that I was sorry for not wearing the makeup and that I had heard her message loud and clear. She was super confused and said that she really hadn't had a problem with it. We talked on the phone and I told her what Henry had said to me. She was furious and said that she hadn't put him up to that, and that she had been very clear that she was fine with my choices. She and Henry got into a huge fight, and she's been staying at my apartment for the past few days while she tries to figure out what to do. Henry and his friends have been texting me nonstop about how I ruined his wedding and his marriage. And even some of my and Joe's friends are saying that I should have just worn makeup and that a wedding wasn't the right place to make a political statement. Joe is insisting that I wasn't in the wrong at all, and the bridesmaids, plus Joe's mom, are on our side. Everyone in my life that knows about this has some kind of bias, so I want to know whether I was actually in the wrong. I really hadn't intended to make a political statement or anything at the wedding, and I would have worn the makeup if Joe had asked me to. I feel terrible for hurting Joe's marriage and tainting her memory of her wedding, even if she still doesn't think I did anything wrong. Am I the asshole? Story 3. My friend wore white to our friend's wedding, then got upset when that friend wore the same dress to her wedding. So this is my favorite petty revenge wedding drama I've ever witnessed. I, 28 female, have 2 female friends in my immediate circle, Sarah, 28 female, and Taylor, 27 female, who were engaged at the same time. Sarah only had a maid of honor, me, and Taylor had her 5 sisters as her bridesmaids. During the planning process, anytime Sarah would have an event, dress shopping, bridal shower, etc., Taylor would go out of her way to remind the other girls not to wear white because it's only for the bride. At these same events, Sarah would mention something she's doing for the wedding, and Taylor would pipe up and say, "Well, at my wedding, we're doing this." But that's cute too, passive-aggressive shit like that. Sarah's wedding day comes around and Taylor shows up in a white dress with some flower details on it, but is for the most part white. Now, I'm of the opinion that no matter the pattern on the dress, don't wear white, but that's just me. Sarah's mother confronted Taylor about the dress and she said it was fine to wear because it had a flower pattern. It wasn't all white. She repeated the same thing when Sarah finally saw her and basically asked, "What the fuck?" After hearing her explanation, Sarah just smiled and said she understood and to have fun. Taylor talked about her own wedding to anyone who would listen. Fast forward to Taylor's wedding, Sarah shows up wearing the exact same dress. As I'm sure you can predict, Taylor was furious and cursed at her for wearing a white dress to her wedding. Sarah brilliantly responded with the brightest smile on her face. "But don't you remember? You wore this to my wedding. You were totally right about the pattern. It's so beautiful." Taylor denied wearing that dress and said hers was mostly flowers with a little bit of white. So Sarah pulls out a printed off photo of her and Taylor at her wedding with her in that dress. She just said, "See, now we're twins." The rest of the night, anytime someone asked her about the dress or pointed out that it was white, she simply pulled out the photo and showed it off, as well as her other wedding photos that she printed and brought with her. The two have not spoken since, and I will continue to praise my friend for having the lady balls I will never have.